Here's the story about the bees. A few years back I did a beginner's beekeeping course here in Liverpool, but then I'm living in a bedsit and I don't have my own big garden or anything, so yeah, I didn't really get into the beekeeping as such, but I had the knowledge and I had the certificate, and I think that was what attracted the bees. My lemongrass oil burner might have played a part in it, because that apparently attracts them. But yes, they must have spotted my certificate and thought that's a good place to move in, so they came in dozens and started living in the vent. And as soon as the spring came along and everything started flowering, they were out and about collecting their nectar and their pollen, and they started building, and eventually I could see honey coming close to my cardboard window. What happened next? Clearly they were running out of space. I started noticing they were chewing away on the cardboard window, and I was afraid they would move into my kitchenette, because I literally only have one room I'm living in, so I'm not quite prepared to share it with flying bees inside. I couldn't really see that work. So I put an extension box on with a much bigger window even, and ventilation gaps on the side, hoping that they might move in there and build comb and fill it up with honey for me. And they did. And they have brood in there. You can see the cat cells where the little baby bees are growing. The numbers have increased massively, so there is a lot of buzz going on in my kitchen now. And again, they are running out of space. So I decided to get them a proper hive, and I've done some research. There's different ways of hiving bees. I can go for a much more gentle way of beekeeping with those bees if I manage to get them out of the kitchen vent and into a proper hive. So that is the adventure I'm on now. All the neighbors are enthusiastic and queuing up for bee viewing in my flat already. Tea with bees, that's the new thing these days. So that's the story at the moment. It's exciting. Welcome to my kitchen. Mini kitchen, mini kitchenette corner. And where are the bees? What do you think? Not in the oven? No, not in the fridge. Up there. And we put the light on for you so you can actually see them. So as you can see, the whole box, which was empty 4 weeks ago, is now full with comb, which they all built by themselves with wax they produce themselves. As you can see, they're quite shiny sometimes. That's because the wax glands at the back of their body is producing the wax, obviously, and then the other bees are stripping it off, making little ladders to build things. And lately they arrived at the window, so they attached it here nicely, and they keep attaching. Down here you see the bee working with their mandibulas. They're chewing the wax and putting it into the right place, and the perfection of it just amazes me, and I can't get over it, how incredibly precise this whole structure is. Now all these are girls, they're doing the hard work just like in real life. And then if you look up there, there's one of the big boys, that's one of the drones, and here there are a few clustered together, sitting there and doing nothing at all but looking pretty. Chunky boys, they are only there to carry the genes. They go out and hopefully one day mate a queen, not our queen, another queen. Our queen is already mated and full of eggs and laying like mad. As you can see inside the covered cells, which have like a little dome on it, a slightly darker color, that is capped brood, so there's little bees developing inside. And once they're ready to hatch, they chew off the lid and they come out. And down here you can actually see a bee carrying one of those lids. Can you see that? So they're tidying up all the time, they're carrying out the dead bees, they're carrying out any rubbish that occurs. Obviously they don't have any problem with plastic bottles because they don't go to us. So yeah, this is a little bit like going to space really. You can't just expect to feel normal, put in a weird suit on, where you have kind of restricted view, not necessarily restricted movement, well kind of, but I'm not going to dance anyway, but what I need to really try and practice is what it feels like. Sorry, I'm jumping. Feels like to work with the equipment and work with the gloves, because obviously you can't use your hands as, what's the word, the fine tuning. No, it's quite alright. These are actually made from a dead animal and it has a funny smell, but it'll disappear in time, I hope. It's a bit like diving as well. It always reminds me of going diving. You have to put all this gear on, you know, and you have to have a buddy. You have to go slow, you know, when you're free diving. So beekeeping is a little bit like free diving. You got to be chilled. Let's try the Hoover. Okay. The Hoover. So this is the bee Hoover I came up with after researching YouTube, obviously, and reading and searching for the good solution. It is made out of 2 buckets, an inner bucket and an outer bucket. The outer bucket has only got the pipe attached here to suck out the air with an ordinary vacuum cleaner, household vacuum cleaner. The inside bucket has holes in the bottom, and on the inside there is a mesh fixed at the bottom with a distance obviously from the bottom, so the bees have a softer landing because the suction is coming from the bottom. The bees have a soft landing here and they don't get stuck at the holes there with the suction. So this is slightly raised from the bottom, and then this one goes inside here, and just by putting it together like that, it has a real good airtight seal on it. And now the most important thing, of course, is the lid. This is the lid where we have a few flow controls. So when I get started, I will open them all up, including the one on the handle itself. And that generates a very, very gentle suction. Obviously this goes on top. And then we have 2 windows here where I have a little torchlight so I can shine the light inside to see how the bees are doing while I'm sucking them up. And I have a strap here which I can use to put it around me and carry it, check and suck at the same time while controlling the flow. So I think it's rather genius. What I don't know is about the pipe itself, how rough it is inside, where the bees might get hurt on the ride, because this is going to be the roller coaster experience for the bees. It's time for the bee song, finally. We do have to hoover all the bees. Yes, that's it. We have to hoover all the bees. I'm afraid all the bees will have to go through the hoovering experience. Whether that might be pleasant or not, I'm not sure. I do feel concerned about the well-being of the bees, and I'm really trying my best not to disturb them, harm them, or interfere in any way. But unfortunately, they chose the kitchen vent as their home, and they're expanding rapidly, and I think they need more space. And it's, frankly, I'm paying the rent, and I would like to cook in winter. So I want to move them out, give them a good home, and the best home I can give them. So do you want me to show you the hive, maybe? Come. So welcome to my bathroom. That is where I actually just painted this hive. No, I didn't build it in my bathroom. I ordered this online, and it's made from a nice softwood, and it's a bit smaller than the British National Standard hive. It's called a Varé hive, if that's the correct English pronunciation. I think it was a French person, so Varé maybe, Varé. I'm not quite sure. In any case, this allows for a more bee-friendly beekeeping in terms of less interference. So the bottom, the floor is an open mesh floor, if you can see that, with a board underneath that slides out so you can check for varroa mites and other diseases without interfering. And the actual entrance is just here in the front. That's the summer entrance setting. Then you can take that out and change it over to the winter setting like this, and that's their little entrance. So they have a beautiful surface here to land on and to crawl in. And this is the varroa board underneath, so you can check, and it still allows air to go through as well. So if I was a bee, I would love to move into this hive, because the priority here is not the honey and the profit, but the observation. So each of these 4 boxes has an observation window. The glass is not in yet, I will do that later. I only painted it now with some linseed oil, and it doesn't smell that bad anymore. I think soon it'll be good for the bees to move in there. It's got a lovely roof on it with ventilation holes, slits I should say, in there. Shall I take it apart then and show you the whole thing? And then it's got a quilt, so there will be some fabric attached and filled with loose leaves or some dry matter to absorb moisture and still allow ventilation. And then we have the boxes themselves. They're literally just square boxes, and then top bars go on top of that, as the name says. If I go further down, you can actually see them in there because I put the feet in already. This is a contraption I started making to remove the comb from the kitchen vent and then to strap it in here. But I have a feeling that metal is not the right thing for bees. I have a feeling that they will not like this. So I'm still thinking about other possibilities, maybe just using some natural string or twine, something like that, to fix the comb in there. And once we got the bees in the hoover and the comb out of the vent, we can put the comb in there and chup chup chup, put the lid on and the bees inside first, and then the lid on, and then hopefully we will leave them in there for a few days with some food, water and good ventilation so they can adapt to the new position. And then hopefully when they fly off, they will find their way back home and not end up in my kitchen vent again, because that's the actual tricky thing about moving bees. It's not that straightforward. And to give you a little impression of what it will look like when all the top bars are in, so there's 8 top bars for each box. You spread them out evenly, and then hopefully the bees start building in that order towards the bottom. Sometimes it happens that the odd bee comes inside, but rarely, to be honest, because they know exactly where their entrance is outside in the kitchen vent, which is basically only about 1.5 meters. What is that in feet? 5 feet, 6, 7 feet away from this window, and I hardly get any bees in. But today we've got a little visitor, and for that I built my little bee catcher with a bamboo stick and a tin. It's also a musical instrument occasionally. So now of course it's gone behind the window there, so I need to close that first. Up there it is. See, you wouldn't be able to reach or catch it, but with Meike's clever bee catcher, it's an easy task. Just wait until she sits down, put it on top, gently slide it towards you, and the paper underneath, and voila, we've got it inside. And then we can open the window again and let it out. And go whoosh, and she flies off. There she goes. Don't come back in now. Bye. Meike's bee catcher, only £34.99 on Etsy, handmade. Set them free. You will see. That's the way it's meant to be. meant to be. This is the bee song. Let them be, set them free. You will see, it's meant to be. Okay, the time. Oh, look at them, 1, 2, 3 dead bees already. This is the bee song. So many bees. How cool is that? Oh my goodness, how cool is that? You will see, it's meant to be. It's meant to be. This is the bee song. Let them be, set them free. You will see, it's meant to be. It's meant to be. This is the bee song. How beautiful. I wonder how the other bees are doing in there. Roller coaster time for bees. Let them be, set them free. You will see, it's meant to be. It's meant to be. This is the bee song. Okay, round 2. Or is it round 3 already? Round 3 actually. First was the box, second was to tidy the entrance. And now we are going to place the hoover here. It's meant to be.
I'll show you inside. Have you seen this?
Bees are moving into their new home. Rightio. Welcome to the new home. So here we go. The bee hoover full of bees. And Andrea is hardcore. She's not even wearing gloves. And there is about how many?
Can this come up?
No, unfortunately not as yet.
How many in here? About 2,000?
Wow, look at that. That's what I mean. You have to keep sliding. Wow, look at that. Oh my goodness.
Okay. Now I'm going to tip these in. Alright.
Is there any rubble on the ground? No. There's the bees. Don't let them all fly off now.
Okay.
Where's your family? Go back there. Okay, you don't want to. You will get tired and then we will collect you on the floor somewhere. Close this so the light doesn't come in. Because as soon as there's light, they start flying around. And see, there's one on the curtain. It's a very dangerous matter. Wherever you sit or whatever you touch at the moment in this flat could be a bee, literally. And then, of course, it will sting you. So you really have to. You're not even wearing shoes. Didn't I tell you? No barefoot in my flat at the moment because they get tired, start crawling on the floor. You step into it, you're gonna be very sore for a few days. That's why I'm trying to kind of keep them out there and let them do whatever they think they need to do there now. Because there is frankly nothing else I can do at this point in time. We might lose those. They're trapped behind my ingenious acrylic double glazing system, and I can't hoover them up because there's a big blue gap there. But these are literally a few hundred bees, maybe the most. It's a handful compared to the thousands and thousands of bees we actually managed to transfer into the hive. So it's not a massive loss, if that makes sense. This is not a rocket launcher, as you might think. This is supposed to be an observation hive, and really it is an experiment because I made all this up in my head, thinking it might work out. An ordinary beehive you would place in a garden like this with a big net around, at least 2 meters high, so the bees fly in at that height and don't bother anybody in the garden or in the car park or on the road, because there was pedestrians walking about 10 meters away. So we want to make this safe, but then I would like to keep watching the bees because I've got an observation hive with windows in, right? And it doesn't make sense to me to put on all the suit and gloves to go and open these windows because bees will still be flying around the hive, if that makes sense. So my plan was to create an entrance where they fly in, and behind that is the actual hive, so you can look at things from behind and nobody bothers you because they always will fly towards their entrance. That's the idea anyway. Now moving bees is not straightforward because of their orientation sense, their geolocation, all these kind of things. So once you move a beehive short distance, they might as well just end up going back where they came from, which is not ideal because that is my kitchen vent, and frankly I'd be very happy to get this over and done with and have them down in the garden here so we can observe them properly. So what I did is I used 5 pallets, as you can see, some batten. I had all this delivered, shuffled it over there, And then I had this thing in my mind which I couldn't draw, so there is no actual drawn plan for this, but I made a little model so I could estimate the amount of materials I need. And then it took a lot of thinking and a lot of fiddling, and in about 4 days or so this was done. And I'm a little bit proud, actually. I did this myself. So the entrance of the hive is here inside this netting, so they have to fly in here and down to find the entrance. At the moment it is blocked because I want to keep all the bees in there for now, to make sure that not too many are coming back to my vent and they have a proper chance to reorient themselves. I stuffed it with cornstarch packaging material, so it should be an easy job for them to chew their way through it. They managed to chew cardboard, natural rope, they chew through all sorts of things. So this cornstarch should be an easy job. If they don't manage in a few days, maybe a week or so, then I will help them out, because they need to go and do their thing, obviously. And then hopefully they come out. It's a completely new place, and this whole thing will lead them back to their home. Now, why does it have to be the net? Of course, because their bees wouldn't fly low to then fly up and down again. So they always come in at the height they need. They fly quite high up. I've been watching them. They go out and they go whoosh, half around and then whoosh. So they're up there and they see exactly what's going on. So we have a kind of a landing strip here, lit in sunlight with the house and the trees. And they used to have the entrance there. Now it's there. The queen is in there with the pheromones. Thousands of bees are in there. So fingers crossed, they will manage to orientate themselves over the next few days, so nobody gets bothered. Really don't know what it is, but I'm attracting the bees today. I made a new deodorant with peppermint oil because I thought that was going to deter them, but maybe it actually triggers them to attack me or something. And the plan today is I'm cutting a hole for this hoover plug so I can connect the hoover, which contains the bees, to this box which contains the queen and the brood, the nurse bees, the foragers. All the bees are in this box which is connected to the wooden boxes here. So they're all happily in there. Well, whether they're happy or not, I don't know, because I blocked the entrance just to make sure they're not all coming back to my kitchen vent where I took them from, if that makes sense. So now I hoovered the bees from my kitchen vent. So most of them we already put in there last night, or yesterday I should say. But some stragglers I collected in the hoover still, so they need to go back in there. Since I can't open all this up and they will fly out, I need to attach the hoover, and then they can smell the queen, and eventually they will all end up in there. And since my hoover's got a window, I can see whether they're actually moving out or not. It's part of this whole big massive experiment of my observation hive. Let's have a little quick look inside. So I just hope that the entrance is not blocked by comb. And if it is, then they might take a long time to eat their way through it, but I really can't tell from here. All I know is that the outside combs in that direction are the later ones. They started in the middle, so these two are the biggest ones here. So the edges are not really coming up to the wall of the last ones here, and I only put it in that far, didn't I? That was easier than I thought, to be honest with you. I think we need a key change or something.
I like this one.
I was going to think about the bees, isn't it? Let them be, let them be, yeah! So, 12 days after we moved the bees from the kitchen vent into the hive, things are settling down a little bit. All the foragers are coming in and out with pollen on their legs. They're building comb inside the box, brand new stuff appearing in there. It's pretty busy. Some of them are still finding their way, bouncing against the net sometimes, occasionally, and then finding their way in. Others are proper professionals. They shoot in and out at high speed. If I watch up there from the window, they know exactly where they're going. So the whole funnel design idea seems to be working. Let's see how that is in the long term. So you can literally walk around the hive, look at the entrance and look at the back of it through the windows without disturbing the bees or without being disturbed by the bees. So yeah, they spent about 5 days nearly, I think it was, inside the hive. I got a bit nervous after a few days because I thought they're getting really hot in there, they need water, etc. I sprayed a little bit of water occasionally inside the windows and they came up to drink. But then I think it was Friday morning when I noticed, they managed a little hole and they were starting to fly in and out. And then I helped a little bit, poked out the other bits, and then they started shuffling out dead bees. There was a few casualties, so to speak, as expected. But in general, the whole, as a colony, survived the move very, very well, I would say, in numbers. We had a few stragglers, a few escapees. But now they're just quite happy in there, I think. If you want, I can show you a close-up of the box. Okay, so that is the box that was in my kitchen, attached to the wall. A lot of big drones in there. You can see up there the big chunky one with the black back. That's a male bee. Just sits in the way usually and does nothing apart from carrying the genes. Here you see a bee dick, if you're interested in that kind of thing. Not everybody is, but I find it quite fascinating. I'm normally not so much into dicks, but to actually be able to see a bee's dick. So, since there is a hole downstairs and we have a few boxes here, we took the comb from the vent and put it in there. So with the light, can you see that? Darker comb, that is the original comb from the vent, and the lighter one is already what they started building since they moved into this box. Okay. So all these light slices here, they are coming up. So they've been really busy and really productive in those last 12 days, despite the trauma, despite the shock. I'm very, very pleased with that. And down here we have another 3 slices. It's a bit darker and the window is a bit dirtier. Anyway, they're looking quite good. This box is still empty. And actually what I need to do is exchange that box and put it downstairs. So the comb is all nice together. We had it that way to be able to actually shake the bucket full of bees into the hive. That's why we put an empty box on top. But I think we will rearrange that. And while we're doing that, we're also going to check on the bees' health and look at the comb, whether we have healthy brood in there, whether there's any diseases or anything like that. And now we still have a few stragglers hanging outside here, and they seem to be lost. They don't know where the entrance is because they were not on the right. They were never inside the hive, and somehow they managed to survive. But then they always come back to this side. I already managed to scoop up a large amount, big clump. It was like 2 big handfuls of bees there. And at night I scooped them up and put them by the entrance, and then they actually really literally walked into the hive because they can smell their queen, isn't it? It's fantastic. So I'm going to try and let another few walk into the hive in a bit when the sun goes down and they get even more tired also. We might try that straight away actually. See, it's this stupid curtain. Why don't you all go in there? How about that? Let's try. Slowly make them move down. I'm not sure if that's working. This blue brush thing. Is it? Well, to a degree. Walk in, guys. I'm gonna shake them out. Watch out. They're incredibly strong, clinging on. Push. And what does it look like? Are they moving in? Please just go in and get used to your new home. Oh yeah, yeah, they're doing it. How wonderful. I'm in love. And I'm gonna put a chair there and then I'm gonna do my AP therapy. Did you know it was a thing actually? AP therapy. Apis is the bee, from Latin the bee. And AP therapy is when you just, stare at bees. It's a bit like whale watching, I suppose. The sound ambient might be different. Whale watching. This is urban beekeeping, step 1.